Greetings. I'm now going to show you in this video, I hope, how we do collation in the Canterbury Tales project. One of the reasons for demonstrating this is because there are people who believe that it's possible to remove the scholar from scholarly collation. That is, to have programs so clever, programmed by people so clever, that they're able to automatically make exactly the same choices that a scholar would, and all a scholar need do is sit back and admire. So let's see what we actually do when we collate a single line of the Canterbury Tales project, of Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. So what you are seeing here is the Textual Communities interface. You can see here a list of the manuscripts that contain the Canterbury Tales. Under the Documents tab, we switch to the Collation tab, and here are the documents for the lines of the general prologue. And here are all the lines. You'll see that most of the lines, almost all the lines, in fact, have a red C because we've already collated them. But this line I've saved for now because it contains some rather beautiful examples. Line 488 of the general prologue. So this is what it looks like. This is exactly how it comes out of the manuscripts. Here are the manuscripts that have full spelled F-U-L, manuscripts that have F-U-L-L, manuscripts that have F-U-L-L-E. So now clearly those aren't very interesting variants. On the other hand, 4 is different. So I think what we want to do is we want to regularize this form of full and that form of full, 2 L's and double L-E, to that form of full. Save it. Okay, now let's look at the next word. Loathe. All right, same again. All these forms are, we can argue that they're simply variant spellings of loathe. We're not interested in them in terms of the kind of analysis we're doing, where we're trying to analyze thematically significant variants, which might tell us how the manuscripts were copied one from another. So we'll get rid of all those variants there. Now hit the Recollate button down here. You'll notice that those variants have gone, and that now all the manuscripts are recorded as having loathe, except this manuscript that has sooth, and all these manuscripts have F-U-L in various spellings. We can bring back the regularizations we've just looked at by clicking the button, Show Regularization, and here they all are. So all the manuscripts here which have the regularized form. Incidentally, this program is written by Catherine Smith of the University of Birmingham. It's actually a customization. I'm not sure it's the right word, but it's a series of add-ons to the CollateX program written by Ronald Dekkers, among others. All right, so let's carry on with this. So in this interface, designed by Catherine Smith, also Troy Griffitts worked on it, we can pick out various spellings of were here, that and that, they're the same. We have to make a decision here. We're just going to decide that the form with the final E or without the final E is the same as the form with the final E. And one could decide differently, but for this collation, we don't believe that final E is significant. And here is the case here. Now I've got over here, were still in here, but let's just hit the Recollate button and see what happens here. And the word is still over there. So you can see it's in the wrong place. Now we're going to move it to the right place in a minute. For the moment, that's in the wrong place. So I have to type that in there, and then I can drag that down to there because I want that were to collate with other forms of were, double E, R-E, we see over there. So we try the Recollate again. And it's still appearing here, still appearing in the wrong place. I'll have to fix that up later. Now, this variant. Here we have a case where some manuscripts have cursion with the final N, other manuscripts have simply curse or without a final N, just with a final E, and some manuscripts have something else. And here is course. Well, I think we can probably presume that, okay, let's presume that, make a distinction here between the manuscripts that have EN, cursion, and those that have simply E, as in cursor, on various spellings like that. So now that's a very, very marginal decision. One could decide otherwise, but it's my sense that scribes sometimes, not always, but quite often were quite careful about that kind of decision. So let's see if this So we're going to, at this point, we're going to distinguish the form with cursion from the form without the final N. So let's do that. Let's regularize these forms without the N to curse, like so. And let's regularize the form with the final N, like this one, and this one, and this one. There's an E after that, but I don't think that's, I think that's probably not significant here. So we regularize that to that, and we've got one more here I missed, so that goes down to here, cursor without the final E, and we can recollate that to look at the results. And yes, we've now got a clear distinction between curse, no final N, and cursion with the extra syllable. One might have made a further decision. Perhaps, looking at this again, one could think, well, perhaps I want to make three distinctions. Curse, C-U-R-S, without the final E, C-U-R-S-E with the final E, then C-U-R-S-S-E-N with final E and final N. But I'm only going to deal with two here. And again, that's the kind of decision which I'm not sure how you would create a rule for a computer to make that decision. Now, capitalized form of F goes to there. And these, once more, we're going to say these look to be alternative spellings of his. I've actually got a nice little but tool here. I can click that and select all these, and then I can simply regularize them all to his, like so. And now here again, this looks to be another case. I think these are all different spellings of tithes, modern word tithes. So again, I can click this little thing here, and then they all turn green, and I can drag the whole lot up to there and save it, recollate it. Now, okay, this is what we've got after doing the regularization. But it doesn't look very good, does it? Every word is treated separately, and were over here should collate against were over there, but isn't. And was over here should collate against was over here, but it's not. So we have to do some more work on this to get this to come out the right way we want. And for that, we go to this next tool over here, which says move to set variance. And so we've done the regularization. We're now going to do the variance setting. And at this point, we can start moving words around. So we can we look at this and we think, well, actually, it probably makes sense to see this whole phrase for loath and for so as alternatives to one another. One could keep them apart, but my guess is there's probably not to be much to gain by keeping them apart. Most manuscripts have full, most manuscripts have loath, only one has sotha, and only 3 have for there. So let's change that over to there. And that looks to me to be better. I think it makes more sense to see the variance on for sotha as against for loath and for loath. Once more, I invite a UNIVAC or IBM supercomputer or Cray or whatever supercomputer to have to make this decision. And good luck with you. The best of British luck. So now, let's just start here again. We've now got all this over here. We've got was and were in the wrong place. So what are we going to do? It looks to me, and we've got something omitted here. So 81 is omitting something, and 81 is over here. Interesting. I think we might have a transposition here. Let's test this out. So we pull them all over, drop them all on one another, and this is what we end up with. Were him, were he, was him, he was, him were. So indeed, we do have a transposition, and that's why some words are appearing in the wrong place. Now that looks to me like a pretty good way of seeing these variants here. I can imagine splitting them off so we have where collating against was, but then that's going to miss that out. So you pull the was out of here and put it to there, but this seems to me to be a pretty clear way of showing the variation. Quite easy for the reader to see this and to understand it. And also, I believe we've captured all the information about the variation among the manuscripts, which will be useful when we come to try to analyze the relationships among the manuscripts. For example, we know AD1 and EN3 are a pair all the way through the Canterbury Tales, the whole length of the Canterbury Tales. Those two manuscripts are copied, as seems, from a single exemplar. NL is a really strange animal altogether and can pop up anywhere at all. But the fact that we have a variant in that pair, 81 and EN3, is kind of comforting, I suppose. Was him 80? I can't see anything in that. Were he? Now this is an interesting one. I look at those manuscripts there, and they yell at me, Group B. The group of manuscripts identified by John Mann and Edith Rickard some 90 years ago as being Group B. It's composed of Caxton's 2 editions and Pinson and Wickett. In fact, all 4 of the print editions, and generally TC2, which is a handwritten copy of Caxton's first edition. So there we have were he, and here it appears to be belonging to a particular group. So this is good information when we come to try and do our phylogenetic analysis. So this expression of the variance, to me, satisfies the 2 criteria we have when we do this work. And the first criterion is that it should look evident to the reader what is happening. It should be easy for the reader to see, oh, that's a version of the line, that's another version of the line. And doing it this way, I think this segmentation makes it very straightforward. For Luth, for Sirth, for Luth. Yeah, okay. Were him, were he, was him, he was, him were. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, looking finally at these last words, the last 3 words are identical in all the manuscripts after the regularization. There's no variance in 2. The only variation is here in this word. Some manuscripts have curson, because we decided to make the distinction. Some manuscripts have curse, and again, because we decided to make that distinction. Now, we could leave it this way. That would be okay. Yeah, 2, and then we can see very clear the variant here, and we can see that all these manuscripts have this. But actually, to me, we could do this, to curse and to curse. And I'm inclined to think we're not losing any information in terms of our phylogenetic analysis here. The manuscripts that have curson, as against the manuscripts that have curse, appear unaltered. That grouping changes by when you add the 2 to it, because 2 is in all the manuscripts. Nothing changes as far as the manuscript groupings are concerned at this point. So this gain, and to me, this is somewhat easier to understand. And one of the rules we've learned in the Canterbury Tales project, that when we divide the variance across a line, the sequence of variance in terms of grammatical units, this is easy for readers to understand. And you'll see that's what we've done here. We've taken the phrase full Loth. We've taken the phrase were him. We've taken the phrase to curse. And then we've taken the phrase for his tears. I would say that's pretty good. Let's keep that. So we're able now to save this. So we can save these variants at this point. And then I can move to the next thing, which says move to set variance here. I look at that. This looks pretty good. And down here, there is a button which says approve. So I hit that button. That's approved. This is now the form that's going to appear in our publication as the collation of this line. How many decisions have been made here? I can tell you pretty exactly, in fact. According to the record, I won't show it here, but my database tells me that I've actually made 179 decisions in the process of making this collation. 179. Some are quite straightforward, but some of the ones we saw there about how to segment the variant precisely, what exactly to regularize on what, should we distinguish EN from E, etc., etc. They seem to me to be quintessentially scholarly decisions that can only be made once you have a great deal of knowledge, I think, of the Canterbury Tales, of Middle English, of Chaucer's habits, of the habits of the scribes, and the possibilities of phylogenetic analysis, and what modern readers like to see, how it makes the most sense to them. So that's what we do. That's just one of the 20,000 or so lines of the Canterbury Tales. I leave you to imagine the work that's gone to get there. Of course, we have to transcribe every one of the manuscripts. We have to encode the transcription in such a way it can be processed by the software, and then we do this collation. And finally, another shout out to Kat Smith. You'll find this Collation Editor at the University of Birmingham. It's designed in a way that it can be integrated with relatively ease into other projects. And a shout out to Ronald Dekkers and his collaborators in the CollateX project, who created the CollateX software that underlies this. So happy collating, everybody. It's fun.